How to professionally tune your mind for listening in a group meeting. This question comes from Joyce from New Jersey. Joyce says, I'm in back to back meetings. The result is that although I arrive at a meeting on time, my mind and my attention arrives about 5 minutes later. Oscar, I need some recommendations. Well, thanks, Joyce. And if you have a question about listening in your workplace, just send me an email, podcast@oscartrimboli.com. That's podcast@oscartrimboli.com, and I'll be delighted to answer your question. What was really interesting about this question from Joyce was her willingness to clarify her question during my email interchange with her. Joyce, think about the role of tuning your mind and noticing both internal and external distractions. When I think about tuning, I think about professional orchestras. When they prepare for their presentations, they tune their instruments every single time, whether they're playing in the same concert hall, in the same city, whether it's with the same conductor, whether it's the same performers. This process and practice of tuning their instruments before every single performance is crucial to creating a predictable and consistently high performance. Although musicians may have performed in the identical building, in the identical theatre only 24 hours earlier with the identical instrument, they still humble themselves to their fellow performers, the conductor, and the audience. They tune their instruments every single time. While tuning their instruments, they are simultaneously tuning into the sound of the other instruments and the other performers. Tuning is a skill, it's a practice, it's a strategy. Tuning is a sign of discipline, self-respect, and mutual respect for you, the other performers, the conductor, and the audience. Getting ready for the performance is about many things, including their physical presence, where they sit, how they sit. Do they use lighting? Where do they place the music sheets? And where do they direct their eye contact to other members in similar parts of the orchestra and to the conductor? Despite tuning thousands and thousands of times, the practice of tuning is an act of curiosity and care. It's a process of practice and a mindset towards mastery. When tuning, they're not going through the motions. It's deliberate, it's sequenced, and it's thorough. And you can't fake it. You're either tuning your instrument or you're not. And this is a commitment to consistent improvement and creating a memorable experience rather than just playing some music. Professional performers take between 5 and 10 minutes during the tuning process. This varies based on the age of the instrument, their knowledge of the venue, their familiarity with the music they're dealing with. When tuning, the orchestra is always tuning in the note A. A is usually about 440 hertz, and a hertz means vibrations per second. And typically it's led either by the first violin or the oboe. Joyce, I'm sure when you attend a concert or a performance, you take the time to prepare yourself by taking a moment to become present to the location, your physical environment, and the people around you. Knowing that you'll be listening respectfully to the performers and the audience, you might switch your cell phone settings to silent, to airplane, or to flight mode. Or you may even switch it off to reduce the distractions. In our deep listening research, respondents said that switching their electronic devices to silent before the conversation commenced made the most significant listening improvement for 86% of participants. This action makes a vast difference in your listening. Although it's easy to say, it's hard to practice. Joyce, I'm sure there's stories and static and really unhelpful frequencies that are playing in your mind before you arrive at a conversation that makes listening a struggle for you. Listening can be demanding and draining when you compete with the chatter in your mind or the electronic chatter and notifications around you. If you're in a profession or a situation where you can't switch your phone to silent, to vibrate, or off, announce to others at the meeting, right at the beginning of the conversation, I'm on call or I'm expecting a call. Explaining this before you start signals to the others what you need to attend to. And if a call does arrive or a message does come in, it helps them to understand and to empathize with your circumstances. Joyce, thanks for the question and your clarifying responses along the way. I've got a few questions for you, Joyce, and for you listening. Whilst you were listening to the story about the orchestra, what's different in your thinking about listening? How do you prepare your body, your mind, your physical environment before a group discussion? What rituals can you create or change to prepare for listening before each group conversation? If you've got a question about workplace listening like Joyce, send me an email, podcast@oscartrimboli.com. That's podcast@oscartrimboli.com. I'm Oscar Trimboli, and I'm on a quest to create 100 million deep listeners in the world, and you've given me the greatest gift of all. You've listened to me. Thanks for listening.